Richard Marshall has a luxury of picking the same 19 as he did last week. And his final 17 is Kieran Moss on the on full-back, James Solsaw, Will Sharp on the wing, Steve Tyrer, James Woodburn all in the centre, Scott Morrell, Ben Johnson in the house, Adam Tangata, Ben Kay, Jacob Fairbank, front row for Halifax, second row Chester Butler, Shane Grady, locking up the scrum Simon Griggs, Will Marr, Brandon Moore, Elliot Morris and Ed Barber, the replacements for Halifax. Near that. And for the London Broncos, Danny Ward, who was his team are making their opponents wait out in the baking hot sun this afternoon at the Ealing Trailfinders Stadium. Of Alex Walker at full-back, Kieran Dixon, Rhys Williams on the wings. Plenty of tries in those two. Williams with 17, Dixon with 22. So a threat is when the ball moves out wide. Ben Halliwell and Elliot Keir in the centres. Abby Pefferam rang it with a unusual half-back partnership in James Cunningham, normally a hooker, who's moved into the starting 7 position. Eddie Batte, Elwart, Pelissier and Ben Evans in the front row. Pelissier 150 games for the Catalan Dragons and 16 French caps, making his debut, and that's why Cunningham has been moved to half-back to accommodate Pelissier. Batty and Evans the props, Jay Pitts, Daniel Hindmarsh, the second row Matt Davis locks up the scrum, Tom Spencer, Mark Iona, Daniel Harrison on the bench, along with a surprise exclusion, if you could call it that. Jared Samet starts from the bench this afternoon. And it's that tight in the top 4. Halifax 3 wins away from a second place finish if they can beat London today, to lose next week at Rochdale, and the prize money differs depending on where you finish. London Broncos currently in 6th, will draw level with Halifax on 29 points should they win today. And Leeds Centurions beat Rochdale last week. Awkward bounce, and Woodburn Hall loses it but knocks it backwards. James Woodburn Hall, a former London Bronco, of course. He was 16 when he made his debut for the Broncos some time ago. Tangata gets it to Fairbanks, goes for the return and gets it. That's good play between Tangata and Fairbanks, taking the ball out of the Halifax quarter of the field. Ben Kay to Johnson, brings Grady on the inside, and Grady almost up to halfway. Well, this game's been decided in the first 20 minutes in London's favour, or appears that way in the last couple of seasons, but that ball has gone forward. Well, Halifax were playing some high-class rugby last week when they threw the ball about, but that's not the start that Richard Marshall will have wanted on this early kick-off to accommodate what many thought would be a possible World Cup final with England in. Halifax players travelling down yesterday and stopping overnight in central London. Well, it's the first scrum to the Broncos. Pelissier off the back of the scrum gets it away, and Elliot Keir in the number 1 position playing at centre puts the Broncos in a good position. Here's Williams. Towards the line. Pelissier again from acting half. Cunningham gets it to Pefferange, using the width of the field, and Walker looking for the way through. Alex Walker's on 13 tries for the season, so plenty of attacking options all over. And just as last week, the Halifax line being tested in the opening minutes, and it's not over yet. There's a big charge from dummy half by Daniel Hindmarsh. Stopped on the line, last tackle. Pelissier kicks through. Halifax will need to clear the line. Kieran Moss puts it out of play. So a drop out under the post. London will get possession back. So attack this line, it's absolutely baking hot conditions. It must be 28, 29 degrees. And it's really going to be a bit torturous. And on the 4G pitch, which is actually red hot after absorbing the heat from the sun for most of the week in the capital, not just today as well. Oh, that's a massive kick from Tyra. Walker takes it on the Broncos 40, gives it back to the former Sheffield Eagle Eddie Batty, who runs it forward, offloads onto the ground, picked up by Davis, and Davis gets flattened 5 metres inside Halifax half. Polissier, well, he's just come from the south of France, so he'll be used to these conditions in that part of the world. And Hindmarsh running again, causing problems for Halifax. Pefferangi gets it out wide. Cunningham looks for the offload and falls in the process. And Polissier trying to duck out of the tackles. Well, maybe not the same fitness and skill levels required at Lezion as were in the Super League when he played for Catalans, but still will be a threat. And it's picked up by Steve Tyra. Halifax snuff out the danger again from the London Broncos. Saltonstall will take it 5 or 6 metres forward. Halifax struggling to get out of their own half. Ben Kay going from dummy half, takes it just to the over the red zone of Halifax. Will Sharp played in the capital when it was London Harlequins. Will Sharp, and Halifax are trapped again on their own 40 with the referee indicating the last tackle, and Morell gets his kick away. It's not brilliant, but Dixon able to get hold of it, and Dixon needs to be washed plenty of pace so you get the opportunity to go around the outside, but Halifax snuff out the danger. And now Helliwell it is who takes it up 2 metres from halfway, former Featherstone player Ben Helliwell, who only 2 tries this season, but plenty from his rest of his 3/4 line count his colleagues as Hindmarsh runs it up again. Well, can't see how Hindmarsh can last a long time in this game. Well, Halifax are stretched here on this side, and Rhys Williams is forced inside by Will Sharp. It's obviously didn't have the confidence to try and go outside. Will Sharp perhaps, but they use the short side, and Pitts goes for the line and he's stopped by Halifax with desperate tackling again on their own line. And once again, as it was last week, Halifax desperate to get out of their own half, but the Broncos defence are making it really difficult. Halifax only making the 40 last time, and Woodburn Hall, well, that's a high tackle, so a penalty to Halifax. It won't get them out of their own half, I don't think, from that narrow angle for Morell to kick, but it will take them away from their own line. Oh, it's not bad. It's got to the 30-metre line. Plenty of Halifax supporters down here in the capital this afternoon. 3 coaches trying to make Halifax feel like they're at home, with the noise and the drums going away to the left-hand side. Protect themselves from the sun's rays this afternoon. Fairbank into Polissier, Batty and Hindmarsh there as well. Griggs to Johnston, Johnson to Grady, Grady almost finding the gap, gets the return to Johnson, slips on the surface, gets it away to Tyra, and Tyra away to Saltonstall. Saltonstall kicks inside, but too much weight on it for anybody to get near it. Nobody really following the kick, only Kieran Moss, and he gave up seeing that the ball was going out of play. Now Halifax will try and keep the Broncos in their half of the field. Rhys Williams in off the wing will go from dummy half, met by Fairbank, Grady and Tyra over the 40. Helliwell running it in. Well, the poor form that London had at the start of the season has probably affected their position in the chase for the top 4. Halifax already a victory over the Broncos way back in the early days of the season as Pitts drives it forward and he's turned on his back by Chester Butler and Woodburn Hall. Cunningham will kick and the chasers are there for the Broncos. Who's there for Halifax? Steve Tyrer comes up with it. Kieran Moss was challenging as well, but I think Kieran Moss might have been edged out of the way by the challenge from Alex Walker. Saltonstall gets up and plays it quickly as Will Sharp manages to get back up again but not makes too many metres progress, gets over the 20 metre line. And Griggs, big hit from Ben Evans, the Broncos prop. Morrell goes for a 40-20 and there is a chance that Morrell could get the 40-20. Where's the Touchwood's going to stop? He's going to stop right on the 40, on the 20 rather. It's going to be a London possession. Well, it was very close. I think the Touchwoods might have been a bit generous by a metre there. I think it was a metre and a half short of the Broncos red zone. And plenty of refreshments taken on the field during this game. So again, Broncos starting from their own 20. Williams drifting across the field, but good tackle from Tyrer. Illegal, I think, say the Broncos supporters, but the referee allows it to carry on, and Dixon down that far side is forced to turn inside. Johnson gets hold of him but can't stop the pass going out, and Batty pushes away the first attempted tackle. Won't get away from Fairbanks. Halifax. Oh, there's a mistake, surely. There's 6 more tackles. Pelissier dances about, shown go, and gets brought down a metre away from the far touch line. Dixon will go again. Strips round the first one. Dixon put down 18 metres out from the Halifax line. And Halifax defending back-to-back sets. Peferange, a former Cronulla player, showing the ball but not giving it to anybody, and gets swallowed up by the Halifax defence. Pelissier goes to the right hand side. Evans away to Cunningham, and Cunningham is helped on his way a little bit by a push in the back from Grady, and now it's a London Broncos penalty. Halifax offside on that far side of the field. So a third set of 6 for Halifax to defend. Run to the line from Halliwell, and Halifax scrambling on their own line to stop Davies, but does that make them light outside the Broncos players screaming for the ball wide out. Batty gets it away, and that is good spotting by the Halifax defence. Chester Butler making the tackle. Cunningham gets it away, and there's a chance now surely for Williams, who'll go in unmarked at the corner, and Halifax, as was suggested, light outside. They put too many men in the middle to stop the Broncos forwards, and were caught out wide, and Rhys Williams gets his 18th try of the season.
Right, Broncos got number 2, Rhys Williams. Rhys is lost by Anderson Travel and Rob Smith.
Rhys Williams gives an inevitable advantage to the London Broncos after 3 sets of 6, which started with a scrum on their own 20. And Halifax were left light outside when they put a lot of men. And that tackle on the run from Evans just didn't have the numbers out wide. Cunningham able to get the ball out, and Pitt sending Williams in to give London the lead for 14 minutes. And it'll stay at 4 points to nil with Kieran Dixon able to add to his 41 goals for the season. He made a big contribution with that run down the far touch line. So Morell kicks, there's a lot behind that, but drops in the in-goal area. Here comes Batty driving it forward again. Halifax meet him 10 metres out from the Broncos line. And again they come to this near side with Matt Davies. Nobody in at acting, half slow to react. Jay Pitts coming down, bringing the ball forward, the former Bradford man. Wakefield leads an ult as well, Jay Pitts. So Super League experience. He's a man that's plenty of experience in the Championship with the Sheffield Eagles, part of their successful side from a couple of seasons ago. I think he's on his 3rd season now in the capital. Good pressure from Chester. Halifax let the ball bounce. Will Sharp takes it, and Will Sharp looking for a gap, but Davis around the ankles. Kieran Moss goes from acting half, trying to catch the defence, not retreating, gets to halfway. Morell kicks, and Will Sharp on a chase with Elliot Kia goes round the head of Rhys Williams, but referee allowing advantage, and Williams making full use of the advantage, and he takes the ball back to the 40-metre line for the London Broncos. Poor defence from Halifax. Good sight from Morell, and I think Will Sharp would have been penalised, but we've been run away from the ball by Elliot Kia, and Halifax give another penalty away. Why did we get a Super League referee? Why have we got one? James Childs, this afternoon's referee. And Halifax back on their own 20 again. Last thing they want to do is concede again. Cunningham gets the ball away to Eddie Batty. Great tackle from Simon Griggs around the legs of Batty. Looking to move it out, then Pefferangi turns it back inside to Davies, who's pushing off the Halifax defenders, gets it to Hindmarsh. Well, he's proved a handful already. Halifax able to hold him out, but once again stacking players around the defender, leaving them light on the outside perhaps. So well, that's a lucky bounce for Halifax. Chester Butler shrugs off the first defender, gets round the second, gets over the 20, and that's the sort of run Halifax needed to take them out of the red zone. Saltonstall. Morell to Will Sharp. Sharp allowed to push away from the defender, but just can't find the gap as he's tackled by Hindmarsh. Johnston trying to duck under the defenders and change the angle of his run. Tangata going from a standing start, able to make many metres. Last tackle, there's a strong breeze blowing across the field, and Johnson has lost the ball, and Policia might be able to take advantage of that. Grady puts it into touch, but he will come back for no advantage in a scrum down. Halifax needed a better finish to that set of 6 than they got. James Child said the ball lost on the last tackle. It'll be a turnover on the Broncos 40-metre line. Well, winning means so much to both of these teams. At the moment it's the London Broncos who hold the advantage 4 points to nil. So that Williams try, Cunningham to Pitts. Fine support in Walker, who's linked in from full-back. Will Sharp missed him and got him at the second attempt, but the second attempt Broncos have made another 20 metres to the Halifax line. Cunningham hit by Tangata, but has managed to offload. And eventually Halifax wrestling the carrier Ben Evans to the ground. Again, Halifax putting numbers in defence, but in these conditions it's sure to take it out of them. Well, Pefferanget gets it away, Hindmarsh try and cause problems again. Grady manages to stop him, but needs some assistance from Moss to make the tackle. Last one. Look for the kick from Pefferanget. It's another kick into the in-goal area, which Scott Morrell, Halifax captain, will take. And decides against an option of passing to Jacob Fairbank close to the line. Halifax need to retain possession a little bit and try and carry the ball away. Ben Johnson to Shane Grady, out to Steve Tyra. Steve Tyra having to go on his own because James Saltonstall has moved into centre field, still not making his way out onto the wing. Shane Grady takes it up into 3 defenders. Griggs round the back to Morrell, Morrell to Fairbank, Fairbank inside, shrugging off defenders, running away, finds support from Moss, Moss gets it to Johnson, and Johnson is dragged down by Polissier, 10 metres out, looking for the quick play. Fairbank to Morrell, and Morrell looking for the options. Will Sharp brings Woodburn all on the inside, but a lacklustre end. Halifax could have done with a little better than that, I'm sure. With a bit more quick thinking, maybe to the left hand side where the Broncos defence was still coming back. Halifax managing to unlock the Broncos defence. Good run by Fairbank, and a good step as well from Fairbank. Almost saw Halifax opening their try account, but for a bit more composure at the play of the ball. And I think there, I think perhaps Scott Morrell had a little bit too long to think about what to do next there. Water break for the players after 20 minutes. Halifax 4-0 down. No changes made yet by either coach. Everyone's trying to get the most out of the players they've got on. Morrell pointing something out to James Childs there, regarding I think where the ball was being played. Halifax looking once again to keep the Broncos in their own quarter of the field. Eddie Batty will charge into Fairbank, who slowed him down. Butler finishing him off, and Walker, as Elliot Keir rather, trying to break through the Halifax defence. Broncos relying a lot on their 3/4 line to go from dummy half, as much as Halifax to Polissier to Pitts, and Pitts gets taken down 5 metres into the Halifax half. 24 minutes, well, probably 20 minutes gone, and Halifax trailing by 4. Last tackle, and managed to keep London a bit further away from the line this time, but the kick in the air will test Saltonstall and Kieran Moss. The ball's been touched inside, but it's a knock-on, says the referee, so it'll be a turnover, and the Broncos have managed to finish up 5 metres out from, well, James Charles is making Halifax play the ball 5 metres out, although the blue markings, I think, are the rugby league markings. That's only 5 metres there, not 10 metres. The blue one's a 10 metre line. Oh, more water on already. Just having one break or another one, quick succession. Sweltering heat wave continuing, and at the moment it's the heat wave of London attacks that keep pushing Halifax back into their own half. And it looks like Kieran Dixon in strife on the other side of the field for the London Broncos.
Goes off field, if we stop the clock.
Number 9, Ben Kay, number 13, Jacob Fairbank.
Jacob Fairbank and Ben Kay leaving the field, Brandon Moore and Will Mark coming on. I'm not sure why James Child didn't elect to continue the game there if Dixon was off the field. Salt and Salt mobbed by Davis and Ben Evans. Halifax trying to make progress, and this time they penalise. It's Jay Pitts, who I think is the London captain this season. Walks away shaking his head while Morrell makes big meters for Halifax with a kick to the far side of the field. And Halifax managed to get into the Broncos half of the field with possession. Griggs to Will Mark. Mark is making meters backwards towards the Broncos line with 3 defenders round him. Put down on the 40. Brandon Moore gets it to Morrell. Morrell out to Kieran Moss, and Moss will take the tackle. Good ball out, Woodburn Hall. Can he step the defence? Well, they've got back, but it's not the best of passes, but somehow squirted the ball across the field. Ben Johnson running across the defensive line to Grady. Grady out to Tyra. Tyra will fancy his chances one-on-one against Ben Helliwell, but Helliwell wins that particular battle. Brandon Moore to Will Mark. Tangata touch the London hand. Halifax have 6 more tackles. Can they make the most of it? Simon Griggs will just steady it down, and then Halifax get a penalty after the high tackle from Elwar Pelissier. Well, they won't be going for goal. Halifax will be looking for the first try of the game. Wilmar stopped by Batty and Evans. Morrell gets it to Tangata, and Tangata looked to have a painful scowl on his face, but it seemed Morrell's got the ball down. Scott Morrell has been held up, says the referee. Halifax supporters to the right hand side, what few of them there are at that end of the ground celebrating. Halifax unable to post the point, so we'll come back to the 10-metre line. Interestingly, the blue marking at this side of the field, but Halifax, when they were made to play the ball from 10 metres out from their own half, their own line, that was on the white mark, which only seems to be 5 metres out. So Silby tackles in the bag. Will Mark will drive it forward. Last tackle, seems a quick count that, but Halifax looking to make something out of it. Johnson gets it to Tyra, and Tyra gets the ball back to, well, an attempt to Brandon Moore. James Child almost brought down in that collision of bodies near the line. Halifax, encouraged by that, will pile in on the first tackle with Grady, Mark and Brandon Moore. And again, and that's a head-on collision. Griggs. Here comes Elliot Keir. Caught between the defenders just outside the 20 on the third tackle. Williams has pace. Halifax need to get hold of him. Well, he's got the ball away, and Cunningham will take the pass and gets the opportunity to step inside, and Morrell brings him down. Last tackle. Well, it's on to Mark Ione, who's on the field. Pelissier will kick. Well, he's got plenty of height on it. Saltonstall safe underneath it. And Saltonstall eventually tackled by 3. He'll try to push him back towards his own line, and then decide to put him to ground. Can't get on play quickly. Kieran Moss is looking for a way through, and appeals for a high tackle again from Halifax supporters. Saltonstall throws again. Elliot Morris comes on for Adam Tangata. Brandon Moore gives it to Will Sharp, and now it's Halifax to turn to try and break through the line with their 3/4. Griggs this time takes it up, takes the tackle 5 metres from halfway with Halifax still in their own half, and Morrell will kick again, looking for the wind to make it swirl away from Williams. But Williams stands and waits underneath and has got the outside of Woodburn Hall and then goes back inside, and Halifax just stood watching there, and Walker's going to go away for a try, and now Rhys Williams got that far. I'm sure Richard Marshall will be asking questions of the defence. Went outside Woodburn Hall, then back inside and left Halifax players clutching thin air as he got the ball away to Walker, and Walker on a post from 40 metres out doubles the London lead to 8 points to 0. With his 14th try of the season. Woodburn Hall left for dead by Rhys Williams. London away at Featherstone and away at Barrow to finish their league programme after this week. And I'm sure Dixon will have more success from here than he did from his first attempt to put the Broncos into double figures and a lead of 10-0. There shouldn't have really been any danger when Williams took that ball, and Halifax needing to be sharper in defence. I would have thought it'd have been more chance of catching him after Williams turned inside. Kick from Morrell again, finds the Broncos try line. Daniel Harrison, I think it is, it's on. And Tom Spencer on for the Broncos. And again, looking out for frailties on this Halifax right hand defence. Jay Pitts being tackled by Ed Barber, who's on for Halifax, and Barber shadowing the runner again, but the tackle finished off after Elliot Morris finally throws his arms around the legs of Matt Davis, and Hindmarsh tackled. We'll look for the kick again. Sure it won't be Palissy this time, it'll be Peferange. Gets backspin on the ball, there's players coming forward, and Kieran Moss takes it with Saltonstall Taladin as well. Halifax really need to be careful with the communication on taking these kicks from the Broncos side. Twice now Kieran Moss has had one of his teammates in close company. Sharp gets the ball away to Morris, and Morris tries to make more metres. Halifax have 6 more tackles. It came off a London hand. Ed Barber take it forward up towards halfway. Will Mark trying to make the London defence work as he carries it over halfway. Brandon Moore waits, feed the ball out to Johnston, and Johnston feeds Grady, but the London defence waiting for Grady almost as he got into full stride there. When he received the ball, Johnston across the field gets it to Ed Barber, and Barber's put down on the 20 and loses possession as well on impact. Needs assistance to get back to his feet, does Ed Barber. More water breaks for the players. James Childs waves them away. Wants to get on with the game. And a schedule break after 20 minutes. Both teams trying to get players on the field, get water carriers on the field rather. Pelissier almost proving a handful there. Grady gets him at the second attempt when Tyra had already slowed him down and Grady helped finish him off. And once again London pouring forward with possession. Pelissier will be come off the field to be replaced by Jared Samet. Now Halifax could have problems, and this is maybe why Danny Ward has saved Jared Samet and also Daniel Harrison, a former captain, and Mark Ione drives it towards the Halifax line 30 metres out. Well, there's anyone to pick from now with Peferangi and Samet going for the kick as well, and Walker. And who's come up with it? Referee has said it was not forward, James Childs, so Halifax will get possession, but they're 90 long metres away from that Broncos line. But at 10 points to nil, they'll still consider themselves still in with a shout of this game. Usually been dead and buried after 20 minutes, but 10-0 down. If they can get an opportunity at the other end of the field. Woodburn Hall held eventually. Brandon Moore gets it to Saltonstall, and Saltonstall, well, I think he was thinking about the offload then, but was spun around quite rigorously in the tackle. Elliot Morris gets the ball away to Kieran Moss, and Kieran Moss falls 2 metres short of the Broncos 40 metre line. Halifax looking perhaps for something before half time as Butler takes the offload from Scott Morrell. Halifax not out of tackles yet. Well, they are now. Referee James Charles puts his hand up and there's a kick in there from Morrell. Could be too far, could be out of play. Williams touches it back inside, but it's the judge that will shout was offside anyway. And 3 penalties apiece. More 2 of these players blowing a little bit now, as you would expect in these conditions. But Halifax standing waiting while Broncos have got the water carriers on. And James Charles sent them off the pitch last time, but is allowed to stay on this time and distribute the water to the players. Elliot Kia tackled on the 40. Now Halifax need to hold out Jay Pitts. Tackle this time by well, Halifax are trying to get Jay Pitts out of the field of play, but James Charles shouts held, so Cunningham runs across the defensive line, gets it to Peferangi, and that's a good tackle on Alex Walker by Elliot Morris. Peferangi switches it back inside, ball goes to ground, and a bit of confusion there between Hindmarsh and Tom Spencer. Spencer was the man that picks it up eventually, and Samet waits at acting half. Halifax being tested on this near side again in the defence, but equal to it this time. Ball comes loose and Halifax force the error, and it's high fives all round, and Jay Pitts looking away again and holding his hands out, and I think he was looking for a different outcome for that from the referee, but the referee said knock on, and Halifax will breathe a sigh of relief. So we had to stem flow after flow of this Broncos attack. Made meters every time they've had the ball, something Halifax have struggled to do, apart from a couple of line breaks. Kieran Moss looks to make one, gets it away to Tyra, wants to come back inside. And Johnson to Morris. Wilmar gets it away to Elliot Morris, who's just dragged down by Spencer. Brandon Moore goes from acting half, and Brandon Moore gets up to halfway before falling to the tackle of 2 Broncos defenders looking for quick play of the ball. Morrell gets it away to Woodburn Hall. Woodburn Hall against Cunningham and Elliot Kia. last tackle. They'll be going for Scott Morrell, the call from the bench, and Morrell is forced to put the ball out on the full, which is an easy turnover for the London Broncos. Well, the pressure was put on Scott Morrell, Danny Ward, the Broncos coach, screaming at his players to close down the Halifax captain, which they did. And it's effective as well, forcing Scott Morrell into the quick kick, which on the full, so Halifax must hold out again. Mark Ione gets the ball away, quick hands this time, out to Daniel Harrison, who's brought down, and Halifax could be struggling here as Halliwell makes 15 metres with the ball, gets over the 40. Good tackle from Elliot Morris. Peferangi stepping, Morris there again to make the tackle. Samet to Cunningham, and Harrison gets the ball and is eventually dragged to the ground by the Halifax defence 10 metres out. Peferangi will kick through on the floor again. Well, he's giving it to Cunningham, and again Halifax will breathe a sigh of relief. Cunningham not reading the play there and losing the ball when it came back to him. A turnover for Halifax, but again Broncos find themselves turning the ball over in the Halifax red zone. So often they've done that throughout this game, and Will Mart is going to struggle because the Broncos defence were moving up quick and in number. Ione, Spencer and Hindmarsh. Ed Barber dumped on his back. Will Sharp picks the ball up after Brandon Moore has stepped over it, but the Broncos not fooled by anything Halifax try to put on, and Saltonstall goes from dummy half, gets the ball inside, and Johnson steps, has support from Morris. Morris coming back inside looking for support, Morris going on his own, and Halifax looking for the quick play of the ball while Broncos defenders retreat. Morrell, Halifax look to get it out wide with Butler to Woodburn Hall, and Woodburn Hall tries to go outside Cunningham. Last tackle, Halifax looking for something before the first half finishes. Morrell, crossfield kick, here we go for Tyra. Tyra up for it, and well, probably for one of the few times this season, probably first or second time this season, Tyra's been beaten to the ball by the opposition in the shape of Kieran Dixon. Referee James South all over, gets up at the walls, London a penalty. 4-3 the penalty count to the Broncos. Approaching the end of the first half with Halifax trailing 10 points to 0. 2 tries from Williams and Walker, just 1 conversion from Dixon. And Halifax play second half with the sun in their eyes. Spencer gets it away to Ione, and Ione tackle on the 40. Halifax needed to hold out for this set of 6 to remain in this game. Hindmarsh not as effective as he was in the opening minutes, and the conditions taking its toll on him. Peferangi gets it away to Harrison, and Harrison comes inside, and the ball lost by Daniel Harrison. Well, I don't know what he's claiming to the referee James South for there as a steal. He just loose carry, tried to get the pass away, and it didn't come off. For the former Manly and Parramatta man. Halifax looking for the quick play. There's no way Jared Samet could have been onside there, but he's got done for the head-high tackle on Saltonstall anyway. Perhaps Halifax need a bit more of the quick plays. Halifax, have they got enough time and tackles left to try and post something before half time? Morris into Samet and Harrison. Brandon Moore away from Samet, gets the ball out to Morrell, and Morrell to Woodburn Hall, who again was unable to shake off Cunningham, but Cunningham had reinforcements with Spencer and Pitts as well. Ed Barber takes the ball over the 20. Brandon Moore scoots into dummy half, looking to the left hand side. Ben Johnson brings it back in centre field, tries to go through the Broncos defence, can't find a way through. Brandon Moore gets it to Butler, and Butler round to Morrell, gets it away to Woodburn Hall. Will Sharp steps one, steps two, still trying to get away, gets it to Kieran Moss. Kieran Moss puts a little chip in and it beats Grady, but is there an obstruction behind the line? The referee says not. Well, there are a lot of complaints from the Halifax supporters behind those posts as Daniel Harrison drives it away. Perhaps that Grady was pushed off the ball. Halifax needs to be alert. Elliot Keir driving the ball in strongly and then losing it, but it's gone backwards. It's picked up by Spencer. Well, London holding the trump cards at the moment. The full-time side, of course. Halifax defying the odds and the expectations again. Not even considered for a top 4 place at the start of this season. They're proving the critics wrong. Can they do it one more time here in the capital? So the smart people are saying that Halifax can afford to lose one of the remaining games and still finish in the top 4. Well, Halifax would like to win all 3 that remain, but again find themselves taking the ball out from almost on their own line. It really is a thankless task for Halifax, struggling to get 6 tackles in the opposition half. Saltonstall tries again to take the ball away from the Halifax line. Well, surely Sammett's offside there. There's no way he could have been back on side. And Saltonstall will try again. Last tackle, Halifax 23 metres away. It'll go back to Morrell for a kick over the top for Kieran Moss to chase, but it bounces up in favour of Walker, and he has some space out in front of him, Walker. And Chester Butler looked to have injured himself there. He's slow to get to his feet. And the bounce favouring the Broncos. Cunningham, long pass out to Peferange. And Peferange opts to keep the ball. Last tackle, Dixon. Well, thought about the pass, but Halifax hold on to him, and there's some very tired bodies out there after only 40 minutes, but Halifax have given a good account of themselves considering the amount of possession that London have had and the progress they've made. Part-time against full-time. The try from Williams put London ahead after Halifax had done well in defence 2 or 3 times, but they had 3 sets to defend. It's always going to tire the side defending, and then Walker skipped through the defence after Rhys Williams carved through his way round Woodburn Hall and then back through the Halifax defence. Dixon converting just one of those. Halifax with few chances but not out of the game at the Trailfinders Stadium. London Broncos 0, London Broncos 10, Halifax 0. James Saltonstall sharing here. Somehow one of the London Broncos players there. Well, they're smiling at the end of this game, the men in blue and white. They're still not out of it, but find it a different experience against the full-time side of the London Broncos. Using every ounce of their power to make metres with the ball in the first half. Halifax finding themselves having to bring it out of the red zone at very regular intervals. So it's I suppose the survival of the fittest in the second half, and you would expect that to be London Broncos, but hopefully Halifax can create and carve something out for themselves. Hindmarsh still on for the London Broncos. The former London Scholars player Daniel Hindmarsh. A lot of these Broncos first team squad doubling up with the Scholars when coming back from injury, or Scholars calling them on dual registration or loan. Spencer. Wigan Leon Oldham Tom Spencer, played a few games on loan with Halifax. And the kick is there to test Morris, and Morris takes it safely. Well, fancy the run out of defence, but he's not going to get through Hindmarsh and Ione, two of the biggest men on the Broncos side, and Will Sharp running into another one of the biggest in Tom Spencer, and Ione there as well. Will Maher will take it forward. Ferrangi all over the top of him. Ed Barber trying to go forward, gets the ball away. Johnson looks for support, finds Grady. Quick hands from Sharp to Saltonstall, who will have to go back inside. Dixon misses him, and Saltonstall takes the tackle. Slow to get away from the play of the ball there, the London Broncos. Not so slow to get up from the 10-metre mark as Morris carries the ball one-handed. I think he looked at the offload then to Chester Butler, but he's offloaded it to the London Broncos, and Alec Keir brings the counter-attack, stopped by Will Sharp. Well, Halifax can ill afford to make errors. We're hoping they won't be punished by this Broncos side. Halifax need to be squeaky clean and get the best completion rate they can out of this second half, and so far, first carry of the ball has finished up in London hands, and Halifax on the defence. Well, they did enough defending in the first half. Ferrangi gets it away, and that's a good tackle from Saltonstall on Helliwell. Dixon inside to Ferrangi, another loose pass, and well, there's a knock on. Halifax will see that as a let off. It was a poor pass inside to Cunningham, had to reach for it, couldn't take it clean like Halifax with possession back, courtesy of a London Broncos mistake. But once they find themselves outside the red zone with the commencement of the 6 tackles, it's whether they can do what London did in the first half and carry the ball somewhere near to their opponent's red zone. Elliot Morris driving it forward. Halifax supporters trying to encourage their side. Johnson to Grady. Grady driving it forward, 3 defenders round him, gets to the Broncos 40-metre line. Brandon Moore to Will Maher. Well, that's good tackling by Samet, putting his body on the line around the legs of Will Maher. Ed Barber carries it forward. Morrell gets it away to Chester Butler, and Butler only just caught by the ankles, and Ben Evans it was that made the tackle. There's an attempt to kick into the in-goal area. Halifax unable to follow it up and carry the man back over the line with the ball. Here comes Williams, who's opening try and run which carved up the Halifax defence. Keir puts the ball down, Samet's quick to pick it up, and Halifax light on this side of the field, but Williams opting to take the tackle just inside the Broncos 40. Walker moves into acting half. Saltonstall on a 2-on-1. Dixon will fancy his way down the touchline, but he's put the ball down, and that will be a tackle out of play by Johnson, taking Helliwell over the line. James Saltonstall complaining about something. Well, Dixon got round the outside, but somehow Halifax putting the pressure on. Don't forget the Halifax faithful singing and getting behind the men in blue and white. Unfortunately, singing won't win the game, but if Halifax can force the errors from the London Broncos, it will go a long way to helping them get a foothold in this game. Saltonstall, it goes inside this time. Runs the ball into Spencer and Hindmarsh on halfway. Brandon Moore goes from acting half, and probably asking a question of whether Pitts was back the full 10 then. Quickly up onto him, Ben Johnson. Gets it to Moss. Moss to Tyra, trying to go around the outside of Halliwell. Halliwell sticking to him and making the tackle. 21 metres out. Johnson has to reach down for the ball as Ma is caught on the 20-metre line. Johnson goes for the gap and just turned round, and Ed Barber might have been through there if Johnson could have offloaded the ball. Morell off the outside of the boot, but that one, another poor end to a set for Halifax and Morell's kick. Probably not allowing for the 4G surface, which is well, it's very green and lush, it's very spongy. Kia running the ball out. Williams looks at the offload but then falls to the tackle on the 40-metre line as Samet moves to acting half, and Kieran Dixon tries the shuffle before he gets to the Halifax defence, but Mar and Barber not falling for it. Batty bounces away from two. That's not what Halifax want. It's got away from Butler as well, and still getting away from defenders is Eddie Batty. He's gone behind Hindmarsh, and Batty might have got more metres out of that had he not fallen to the ground, and somehow Harrison got his foot to that. Quick play the ball. Here comes Walker behind Hindmarsh, and Halifax bring him down on the 20. The last thing Halifax need to do here is concede a try. Quick hands, and Will Sharp quick off the wing and making the tackle. Referee James Childs signals that this one is the last one of this set. Peferangi plays it short. Jake Pitts barging his way towards the line. Surely that looked forward from up here. That looked forward, didn't it? And it looks like Rhys Williams again has gone over for his second try. That was a yard forward. Well, that makes Halifax task a little harder, but to be a question of look forward. Did the pass from Jay Pitts after Peferangi was trying to take advantage of the short side. Well, 14 points in a lead, and after getting the ball from the Broncos, turning it over twice, Halifax have let the Broncos into the red zone and come away with the third try of the afternoon. Not now. Oh, Dixon. Oh, either way it's irrelevant. Halifax need to score 3 times at 14-0 down. That was forward, that pass, wasn't it? That pass was forward. And Scott Morell to restart. Morell's restart, Dixon underneath it, gives it to Spencer. Halifax need something pretty soon to get back into this game after conceding a third try for what looked like a forward pass from Pitts to Williams. And Pitts it is again, almost carving through the Halifax defence there, just stopped by Chester Butler. Hindmarsh rampaging run again over halfway. Halifax being pushed back. Here comes Batty again. offloading this time. Cunningham gets it away, quick hands from the London Broncos, but the ball goes to ground, but it doesn't make it any easier for Halifax as Dixon tries to carve his way through and then tries to get the pass away off Samet to Ed Barber, and Ed Barber finding his progress blocked by Hindmarsh and Batty just outside the 20, and London threatening to cut through there. Barber slow to his feet there. I think the third man in around the legs might have done the damage there. And Will Sharp will go from acting half, and Will Sharp's found the gap. He's got support inside from Kieran Moss, and he's decided not to pass, and Kieran Moss had a clear run to the line, but now Johnson might give Halifax an opportunity as he ducks under tacklers and eventually caught 10 metres out. Brandon Moore looking over to the far side where London may be light has turned back inside to Morris from Morrell, and Morris trying to get to the Broncos line. Looking for something from Scott Morrell as Kieran Moss gets the ball off the inside pass and goes over for Halifax. Well, 6 tries in 5 games for Kieran Moss. And Halifax managed to respond, but it should have been Kieran Moss who scored a couple of tackles earlier. Will Sharp had gone through the defence, and such is the deceptive strength of Will Sharp, able to shrug off the 2 defenders, and had Kieran Moss on the inside screaming for the pass. Will Sharp didn't give it, Scott Morrell did on the inside, and Kieran Moss continues his great scoring record. Ben Johnson looked as though he might have continued his for a sequence of an 8-game try scoring run, but was brought down. It didn't stop Kieran Moss continuing his great try scoring form. To make it London Broncos 14, Halifax 4, and that may just rejuvenate Halifax a little bit. After having few chances, it looked like they had 3 there and finally got it over with Kieran Moss, but it could have been Will Sharp, it could have been Ben Johnson. Kieran Moss, try converted by Tyra. 14-6. Well, I can't see that London Broncos have put all their efforts into the early part. It looked like that did Featherstone last week, who started running out of steam a bit, but Dixon, well, he's skied that one, but it's coming down to Morrell in the in-goal area, and he passes to Kieran Moss. Surely Halifax are not going to try and throw the passes about from the kick-off in their own red zone. Saltonstall. London Broncos intend on making sure that Halifax stay where they keep the ball in their own red zone, but Halifax intent on trying to get it away as Will Sharp's brought down 18 metres out from the Halifax line. And Will Mart try and make metres, but it's a well-marshalled Broncos defence as you would expect from a full-time side. Brandon Moore gets it away, Ed Barber runs into 3 defenders, 3 metres from halfway, last tackle. Well, they'll be looking surely to Scott Morrell, and the pressure will be put on Scott Morrell, but he'll just drill it down the touchline and make sure Halifax finish the set in the Broncos half of the field. And no rush by the London Broncos to get this scrum underway, as once again the water carrier's on.
Spent a lot of time on that, didn't on his T-shirt. Didn't spend a lot of time on field.
So Williams away from 1. in Grady, who gets him at the second attempt with Steve Tyrer. Halifax looking for a huge effort in defence. Harrison gets it away. Halifax make the tackle on Peferange. Harrison. One out rugby for the first 3 tackles for the London Broncos as they try to get the ball forward. Lots of shouting going on in the Halifax defensive line, and that's a knock on that will encourage Halifax again, because they'll get possession in the Broncos half of the field. Well, loose carry, I think it's Matt Davis who put the ball down. Well, it doesn't matter who it was, Halifax have got the possession. And they're playing one out rugby, I think in a hope that they would make the ball safe. But the error rate creeping up for the Broncos. Woodburn almost through the gap. Jared Samet just doing enough to put him off his balance. Morrell gets it inside to Elliot Morris, and Morris gets clobbered with a high tackle. Do Halifax go for the 2 points here? I don't think they will. Scott Morrell looking to continue the play and continue the possession, and what Halifax are building at the moment. Oh, good delayed pass from Johnson to Grady. Brandon Moore from dummy half gets it to Johnson. Johnson tries to go on his own. Johnson's going, looking to continue that try scoring sequence, but put down 3 metres out again. Brandon Moore to Will Maher. Scott Morrell, runners Chester Butler, and Broncos desperate defence on their own line. Now, can Halifax carve out an opening as the Broncos did by stretching the defence? Well, that won't help matters. And poor pass leaves them 10 metres away on the last tackle. Can they create something now with Ben Johnson? Kicks it through. Tyra almost gets it. Dixon's forced to put it out of play, which means Halifax will get the ball back from the dropout. And the volume goes up a few notches from the Halifax supporters away to the left hand side. Sensing that Halifax are just getting the ascendance in this game after the errors that London have made, giving Halifax possession. Samet will kick it out. Halifax player stood a long way back. Samet's got a fair boot on him. Morrell gives it inside to Elliot Morris, 3 metres inside the Halifax half, and Morrell gets clattered by, Elliot Morris gets clattered by Matt Davis. Jacob Fairbank back on the field for Will Maher, and Elliot Morris is also leaving the field. Brandon Moore to Scott Morrell brings Chester Butler back on the inside, and Chester Butler is charging his way towards the line with 2 defenders around him. He's got Eddie Batty all over him, surely. Well, he's appealing for a penalty, and I think he had a case there, because Eddie Batty took a long time to get up. Good ball, Kieran Moss to Tyra, but Tyra watched by Halliwell. Saltonstall in off the wing. Saltonstall towards that Broncos line and turned round. Looked as though he might have offloaded there. Brandon Moore to Simon Griggs. Scott Morrell kicks out wide. And where's it going to come up? Well, it's come up in the hands of a Broncos player, and it's Elliot Keir, I think, is it? Jared Samet picks up, and it's told by the referee to play the ball. Williams is caught. Halifax unable to get the ball from the kick by Morrell again, usually so effective in previous games this season. Elliot Keir driving the ball up. Welsh international like Rhys Williams, Elliot Keir, playing with the Crusaders in Bradford, and the London played rugby union at the London Welsh, and Saltonstall has stripped Halliwell of the ball. Well, fatigue perhaps creeping in a little bit as Ed Barber charges it up. Has been wrestled by Davis, and Davis trying to rip the ball from Ed Barber's grasp, and referee has decided Halifax will have a penalty. And it looked like the indication from James Childs it was an offside. Morrell puts the ball into touch. Halifax supporters still making lots of noise behind those left hand uprights as Griggs takes it into contact with Cunningham. Brandon Moore gets it to Johnson. Johnson to Kieran Moss to Tyra, and Tyra stopped by Dixon. We've got 3 men round him now, trying to slow down the play of the ball. Kieran Moss out to Ben Johnson. Johnson to Fairbank, who charged into Samet there. Brandon Moore to Scott Morrell. We're looking at the inside ball again. Well, we were, and Griggs got taken out, but referee not seeing anything illegal in that move. And well, that's a poor pass. Johnson allowed to pick it up, gets it to Grady. Grady quick hands to Tyra, and Tyra kicks for Saltonstall, and Saltonstall, well, Halifax supporters thought he had hands to it then, but referee says it'll come back for a tap on the 20. Halifax looking for more errors, more mistakes from the Broncos side. Midway through the second half, Halifax have clawed their way back to a 14 points to 6 deficit. Halliwell tackle just inside the Halifax half. Harrison charging forward, gets it away to Samet, shouts a forward pass, but Brandon Moore brings down Jared Samet. Halliwell looking at the short side as Peferangi in support, and Peferangi allowed to run, Peferangi allowed to step, and eventually Halifax take him down, but it's a high shot to the referee. I don't think the Broncos will be going for goal. Once again, powering the way upfield. Samet plays the ball, Batty will run, gets it to Cunningham, and Cunningham well tackled by Ed Barber, on his way through the line then with a bit of a dummy and a little sidestep. Halifax being questioned defensively on their own line again. Well, an answer to this one. Have they got answers to the rest of them? Well, so far they have, but again the bit. Oh, that was a fumble, surely. It looked like a knock on then, with a pick up and go. Samet scrambling about on the floor looking for a penalty, no doubt, as Batty takes the ball. Batty allowed to step. Kieran Moss hanging on, and Ed Barber managing to make the final contact. Samet out to Peferangi, and there could be problems here for Halifax, but the ball has been kicked out on the full, and despite the protests of the Broncos players on obstruction, Halifax will come back to the 20-metre line and take the tap. Saltonstall, 7 tackle set. Woodburn Hall takes the ball up as Ben Kay comes on to replace Ed Barber. Here goes Will Sharp again. Big contact from Eddie Batty. Fairbank gets it to Johnson, tries to put Grady in a gap, and Grady tries to spin out, looking for the decision from the referee, but doesn't get it. And here comes Jay Pitts on the counter attack, and Pitts spins away from 2 tackles and then tries to get the offload away, but the ball will come back, and class has no real advantage, so the Broncos will still get possession. Another water break, which will be to the advantage of the London Broncos. Will get possession from the continuation. Still up Halifax at 14 points to 6 down. And Tangata has been sent back onto the field. Chester Butler, who's come off. Well, Scott Morell's all ready to go. Trying to encourage his troops for a big 20 minutes that remains. So James Childs, that's the sides together, continue with the scrum after the loose carry from Shane Grady. Did appeal to the referee that the ball had been stolen. Referee waving away his appeals, and almost on the counter-attack, London Broncos breaking away, but Will Sharp got the ball back, which is why we're back with the scrum from the original knock-on from Grady. Batty with the offload. It was Ben Evans who's back on for the London Broncos. Pushing forward again with Batty. Pefferangi bringing Davis on the inside, and Davis brought to London from the Leicester Storm, not really a traditional rugby league area, but Davis making the grade with the Broncos as Batty gets away from the defence. Halifax looking light on that far side as Elliot Keir looks for a way through. Williams has to come back inside and then loses ground as Halifax move out in swarming defence to bring him down. Tangata and Fairbank the tacklers. Samet playing the possession game, putting the ball out into touch on the far side, and once again inviting Halifax to try and bring the ball out of their own red zone. Not too much from the London chorus there, despite the drummer trying to get him going. Halifax fans have been quiet a little bit while their sides at the other end of the field trying to bring the ball down to get some more points. Simon Griggs is caught by 3 on the 20-metre line. Halifax facing Toulouse and Rochdale in the last 2 games. London play Featherstone and Barrow away. Still plenty of changes could be made. Featherstone play their last game away at Toronto. Johnson to Grady, and a loose carry by Grady again, sees the ball clattered out of his hands. Good tackle, as we said, from Harrison, forcing the error. So delayed reaction from his teammates, but it's big raps all round for Daniel Harrison now. Well, the energy must be sapping a bit from Halifax now as a part-time team. But yeah, the couple of the London players are feeling the heat. As one of their number receives some medical attention. London Broncos playing swapping shirts, obviously the sweat that's come out throughout this game Cunningham leaving the field. Look like that may be a bit more serious than cramp as he limps from the field. But they've got a ready-made replacement in Elwar Polissier. Halifax needing to defend. Halliwell with the first charge up to the Halifax 40. Davis trying to step inside. Polissier turns it back to Evans. Polissier off again from acting half, looking for support, then going on his own. I'd put Peferangi on his right shoulder. Dixon moves into acting half and maybe go from dummy half, which he does. And trying to run over the top of Ben Kay. Last tackle. Kick's not a good one. Picked up by Griggs, but again Halifax have to bring it away from their own try line, their own red zone. Kieran Moss. Once again up and play it quickly. Tyra takes into a three-man tackle, and London just content to try and keep Halifax in their own red zone. Ben Kay goes from acting half, looking perhaps to catch one of the Broncos players offside, but only just out of the red zone. It's a long way to the other end of the field, and there's a mess about. They play the ball, and well, there was no intention to move there from Ben Evans. And trying to protest that his boot had come off, but that's no reason to not get out of the way. So this could assist Halifax. It's not a big meter maker from Scott Morrell. It's gone into touch on halfway. Saltonstall takes it the first 10, and Ben Evans' boot is still on the ground as he tries to defend. Fairbank into Batet. Well, Halifax are trying to get it, play it quickly. And the Broncos appear to be slowing it down. Simon Griggs to Johnson. Johnson to Grady. Grady through this time. No danger from Shane Grady. Well, two drop balls from Shane Grady on this near side, near at halfway line. Put Halifax in a perilous situation. But the ball from Johnson sent Grady into a gaping hole in the Broncos' defence, and Shane Grady has put Halifax into double figures and made this game now a winnable opportunity for Halifax if they create opportunities when they get into the Broncos' red zone and take them. And they may just manage to pull this one back from 14-0 down. It's now London Broncos 14, Halifax 10. Makes it from 2.5 the first one, which is a loose count. The second one, he got clapped and tackled. Pressure kick for Steve Tyra to bring Halifax back within 2. And have Halifax got the resilience in the last 6 or 7 minutes of this game to pull it out of the fire? Well, they'll get the ball back from the kick-off, but they're going to find themselves again having to run it out of the red zone, which they did on this occasion, but they managed to get downfield for Shane Grady. 7th try of the season. Tyra's got the kick. That means Halifax need another score. That could bring this game out of the fire for Halifax. There were a few London players puffing and blowing earlier. Halifax have managed to find something after 70 or so minutes to post their second try of the afternoon. And Dixon will kick. Low. Scott Morrell's dropped the ball from the kick-off. Can't believe it. Halifax captain of all people. Well, Dixon must have had a bit of clout behind that one, because the previous ones from Dixon have been up in the air, easy to catch that one, going straight in the breadbasket of captain Scott Morrell, spilling to the floor. He's led his team marvellously all season. Could that mistake be costly enough? Well, his players will be rallying around him to hope that they can keep the Broncos away from the try line. And just when Halifax needed possession, captain Scott Morrell comes up with the error, and the London attacking line ready to go with Samet waiting off the back of the scrum, taking the ball from Polissier. Gets it to Peferangi, and Peferangi's allowed to step inside, but Gricks over the top. And Brandon Moore round the bottom. Brandon Moore's have to be careful not to give a penalty away, and that I think will, well, Peferangi's signalling for the 2 points, but I'm not sure they're going to take it. Polissier gets it away to Evans. Evans tackled. Was it dangerous? One leg went up very high. Batte. Halifax players crowding around him, but at what cost to the outside defence on the wings? Polissier caught by Grady, losing a little bit of ground, the London Broncos. Peferangi in at acting half, gets it to Evans. Evans to Samet, long ball out to Pitts, and Pitts route one straight line towards the Halifax try line and hauled down to make up the ground that had been lost. Evans charging for the line, and Evans, is he over? The referee's going to point to the spot. He's there. He's there. There's a melee on the floor there. Well, he's going to point to the spot eventually, and that's the try which could win the game for the London Broncos. Who scored that? Evans. Well, Ben Evans has made it a 6-point lead. I'm sure Kieran Dixon's going to make it 8 points from here. And captain Scott Morrell's mistake may just have cost Halifax the game. I don't think there's enough time for Halifax left to score twice, even if they get the opportunities. A couple of minutes left at most. And Kieran Dixon in front of the post. Halifax so near, but yet in the end, so far, after gifting possession to the London Broncos, Dixon puts it over. It means the London Broncos will be on 29 points. And Halifax may possibly drop out of the top 4 after this game, depending on other results. Morrell will knock the deepest of kicks, and there's a hesitation from the London defence as Walker is brought down. There's all sorts of appeals going on from the London players as the Halifax defence piling on Eddie Batty to bring him down. Halifax looking to restrict the Broncos' progress forward. And the Halifax supporters cheering again, trying to encourage their side on. Polissier dancing across the front of the Halifax defensive line. Last tackle, and they're only just outside the 40, so back to Samet for the kick, and he'll look for the safety of the touchline on that far side and find it. And push Halifax back into their own red zone. And referee stop the clock. Well, the Broncos have no fullback at home. Halifax have some pace in their backs if they decide to kick and chase, and I can't see that happening. Will Sharp trying his best to get through the defence, doesn't make the 20-metre line. Saltonstall does, gets over it, and then he's caught by 3. Ben Johnson skipped the defence, gets through the first line, and then gets it away to Woodburn Hall. Woodburn Hall escapes the first defender and gets to halfway before takes 2 men to put him down on the far side of the field. Will Sharp inside to Morrell. Tangata Jacob Fairbank to Johnson. Johnson to Kieran Moss. Kieran Moss to Steve Tyrer. Tyrer gets it away to Saltonstall, but it goes through the hands of Saltonstall. Well, perhaps the only fault there was James Saltonstall might have been a bit too near to Steve Tyrer. Tyrer attracted the 2 defenders, tried desperate to get the ball away, must have thought it was a little bit further in field. Oh, it's Halifax who have nobody in the full back position. Pefferangi feeds the scrum. Williams scored 2 tries. Won't get a third from there. Halifax close him down. Well, 1 out rugby from the London Broncos, just trying to eat up the time on the clock. Aiming a penalty, the London Broncos. Eddie Batty getting dumped to the ground again. There's 1 leg goes up too high. Eddie Batty wants a penalty, but he stayed on 1 leg, so he can't complain about it being a dangerous tackle. Policier out to Davis, and Davis will take on the Halifax defence. Ferrangit will kick to the corner. It comes off Ed Barber, and Brandon Moore gets away from Pefferangi's first attempt to tackle and then gets turned on his back on the 20-metre line. Saltonstall to Sharp, who I don't think was expecting that. He certainly didn't want the attention he got from the London defence. Saltonstall moves inside again. And again, there's 3 defenders around him. Halifax really struggling to get the ball away. Ben Kay back on, gets it to Morrell. Morrell to Tangata. Woodburn all out to Will Sharp, and Sharp comes inside off that far wing, and Will Sharp still going forward and is eventually caught 22 metres out. Great progress made by Sharp, but maybe too little too late as the clock ticks down. Fairbank to Brandon Moore. Brandon Moore gets under 1, tries to push away from Ione, gets it back to Fairbank, who gets it to Johnson, and Johnston, well, determined to try and post another try, but put down again, this time by Eddie Batty. Fairbank out to Morrell, quick hands out to Woodburn Hall, and Halifax failing at the last tackle to keep the ball alive.
Try and pass it. You've got to lose, have you?
Oh, and Halifax have lost the ball. It's Woodburn Hall that's pinched the ball, and Halifax charging towards that London Broncos try line. I don't think there's enough time left for 2 tries. There might be for another, but referee has awarded Halifax a penalty. We'll have to play the ball quickly and get on with it, with Morrell giving it to Tangata. No look pass to Fairbank, and Fairbank's over the line, and Fairbank's got the ball down. Well, had it not been for that error, Halifax might have been able to steal this game away. Well, Halifax could burn
2018.
So Fairbanks trying. Halifax could have spared the opportunity of the conversion, but Tyra's taken it. It's 2018 and referee James Sowles finally stopping the clock, and there must only be seconds left. Halifax have hung in all the way to the end, and it looks like with the time that's left it may be a heartbreaking end unless they can conjure something up in the time that remains, which is not a great deal. Dixon will kick and they'll look for it to go over the head of Halifax. Woodburn Hall will, well, it was almost through the tacklers then, was Woodburn Hall. Morrell gives it to Fairbank. Fairbank takes on the defence, looks to get it away, and has given the ball away to the Broncos defence. Well, flatter London a bit if they score again now, but Jacob Fairbanks goes from well, 0 to 0 after throwing out a pass that wasn't really on there. You can understand the way he tried to keep the ball alive. He was trying desperate Halifax to get something at the other end of the field. Dixon will just stick the ball up the jumper. Pelissier push Ione out of the way, and Halifax suffer heartbreak in the capital again.